Yo, 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 it's X, and welcome to What's Out Media. Cory, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. Hope everyone else is doing well.
And today, we got a special guest.
Man,
Very
thank
grateful to have him on. Tre Ro, how you doing today, brother?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. And if those of you guys who don't know, Tre Rosen is the brother of Elijah Wallace, who we had earlier on in season 3. So we had to get the bro on.
Shout out to you.
His most recent single, 2016, just dropped this week.
Go check it out. All platforms.
Go check it out. So we're
It's
gonna
definitely
talk.
worth a listen.
We're definitely gonna talk to Tre Rosen about him growing up, his avenue. We talked to his brother. His brother went the corporate route, then was like, I want to be a watchmaker and then a rapper and all that. So now we're gonna hear what is his brother's route to music, because it seems like they're a very musically oriented family. So yeah, how you doing, bro?
I'm pretty good. Thank you.
Without a doubt. So tell us, so did you grow up in Chicago? Or I know Elijah was telling us he moved to Chicago at some point. Were you born by then?
So I was born in Chicago as well. We moved out to Plano, Illinois, which is like a small town outside of Chicago, about an hour, I think, like west. We moved out there when I was pretty young. I don't remember exactly what grade, but I didn't actually start staying. I grew up kind of split between both cities. So I didn't actually start spending much of my like adolescence or like the important years in Plano until like maybe like beginning of high school, late middle school.
Okay.
Because we have a lot of family in Chicago, as well as our parents do business in Chicago. So I would get picked up from school and would dropped off at my grandma's house and really just stay out there while Elijah was playing basketball or while my parents were working the business. And then we'd come back to Plano and the day would repeat.
So what are some values that you learned from your family having a business? Let's talk about that for a little bit.
I would say the best thing I learned from it is just the value of time and just like how to manage time. Because I mean, obviously, like I feel like a lot of things, the biggest misconception with every business that's like self-oriented, like whether it's music, real estate, anything like that, is that you still, oh my gosh, excuse me 1 second. These dogs are going nuts for a second.
You're good. Carlton looking boy.
What'd you say?
I just said you're a Carlton looking boy.
Carlton.
Yeah.
My bad. What was that?
Oh, you were just saying time management was kind of one of the biggest things.
Yeah, the great memory. Yeah, time management. I feel like a lot of people just kind of forget that like you still have to treat it like a 9 to 5. You can't just wake up or like do the bare minimum and expect just like one day I'll wake up and it'll all like just take off. You still have to work and build it. So they just really instilled just like patience and just time management and just like really planning. Planning is a big thing too.
Word. So when you were in school, I know Elijah was a little baller. Did you do anything? What did you do?
Yeah, it was because Elijah was such a star hooper. My parents really wanted me to hoop for a while, but I was more inclined to football. Oh man, I don't have my background on, but my whole wall is like filled with old football jerseys and stuff like that.
Nice. So you got started freshman year?
I started playing football really young, actually. Geez, I don't even remember. I started playing maybe when I was like probably like third, fourth grade. I played for a year and then stopped because I think I either got a concussion or I just got really sick. My mom was not rocking with it. And I had to literally sneak back onto the football team. I didn't start playing football again until I think it was like maybe my sophomore or junior year in high school. And it's because I would ask her every year, like, "Oh, mom, please, like I was just a little kid, let me play, you feel me?" But as again, Elijah was playing basketball. It just made more sense for them to put all the money into basketball. I came home one day with like a whole football equipment on, and I was like, "Hey man, I ain't gonna lie, I knew how they worked. They never let us quit anything. So like once I came in with the pads, it was wraps. Like they wouldn't like, oh, you have to quit the team, That would be going back on everything they said. So that's how I pulled it off.
And what's like one of your like biggest highlights from your football career? Or it's like just like something that like you look back on and you'd be like, damn, I miss that.
Man, I don't even think I really have any like that. Honestly, I would say it's like, because ultimately like I love sports and everything, but I never was like playing sports like, oh man, I'm gonna go to the league or anything like that. Always just something to do to like keep my mind sharp and just like stay in shape. I didn't want to, I wanted to stay in shape and I don't know, just like do something. I didn't like being home a lot. So I just wanted to be out. But I guess like the best experience was just like really just the team, like football practices and stuff like that, goofing off.
I feel you on that. So when did you discover music, or when did you know that music would be like an avenue for you?
All right. So I've actually been like I've been dealing with music really my whole life. Like it didn't really dawn upon me like that until really just recently because me and my friend were talking about this. Um I've been like in choirs and stuff literally since I was in like kindergarten. And then once like fifth grade is when like they let the students at our school play band and stuff like that. So I was in band from like fifth grade all the way up until maybe my eighth grade year. I stopped because once you get into high school, it's a whole different monster. So yeah, I was always just really involved in music. I didn't know I wanted to start rapping until the 2016 XSL freestyle. I remember the day watching that. It was like 2 a.m. on the school night. And I remember like I watched it and I was like, oh my God. Like I was in I didn't understand how the world worked when I was a kid. Like I used to think that like this is the dumbest thing ever, but I used to think that in order to be a musician, you had to come from like a family, like a background like that was already in the industry. And like that's how that came up. Like I never really like knew that people were like back in the day, like selling mixtapes out their trunks or anything like that. Like I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I remember like watching that interview and like hearing like Uzi and Yachty talk about their experiences, like starting off SoundCloud, being in school, making music, so on and so forth. And I was like, oh wait, like I could do this right now. Like I didn't know that. So I ran into my mom's room. I was like, Mom, like I want to be a rapper. I didn't even know you could do that, yada yada. And she shot the shit down immediately. She was like, nah, that's cap. If you wanted to be a rapper, you would have been doing that. And at the time, like I was low-key like a little like it took me back. I was like, damn, that like she's low-key kind of right. But I'm very thankful that she did that because after that, it kind of like flipped the switch. Like, man, she's right. Like if I'm gonna do this, like they said that they've been doing this, they just started doing it one day. Like, why not start now? And ever since then, I was just like truly writing, and I didn't actually start actively pursuing it until like after until college, once I like realized like the market that was like embedded within music, like that was on the campus with 40,000 people. They were all listening to the same type of music I liked, and not only that, but like I went to school in Iowa, so I was like one of the only Chicago kids in the town. So like I had like a little bit of a like that being the outsider made it like it just worked perfectly hand in hand. So yeah.
So what school did you end up going to? What made you choose your school?
The University of Iowa. And I chose the University of Iowa because I wanted to be far from home, but not too far to where like I'd have to like take a train or like a flight or anything like that. So I chose Iowa because it was kind of close. It was like only 3 hours away, but 3 hours is my Black parents weren't going to drive 3 hours consistently to come see me. I just knew that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, I went out there. I chose that solely because, like I said, it was still like the culture. I knew the culture couldn't have been too different because I know there's not any like major cities in Iowa. So like ultimately, like the only cities they could have drawn from was either Chicago or like Kansas City or so on. So it just made sense.
Nice. What did you do in college? Did you start rapping then in college?
Yeah, that's exactly when I started rapping. I started putting out music then, but I think I put out like a mixtape. It was like 7 songs or something like that. And I just didn't have like the right mindset with it. I wasn't taking it truly seriously. I didn't understand the business side of it. But being around the group of different people and really just like that was my first time being like not knowing anybody I went to school with or anything like that. So it was like it gave me the time to like truly find myself and like what I was about and so on and so forth. So it's just I'm very thankful for my experience in Iowa.
Shout out to the Big Ten.
Yeah, did you have any like shows or anything or events for your fellow classmates in college?
I was actually in a frat where I started a frat my freshman year.
So that sounds like you did.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. So my freshman year, like I said, I came in, I didn't know anybody, and I was trying to figure out how to get booze like every freshman. And there was this guy, I literally knew him because like it was just known, like he could get you booze because he had a beard. He was like a young kid with a beard, nobody ID'd him, whatever. I'm linked with this dude. We ended up building a friendship, started a fake frat. We really just wanted to start like throwing parties on campus without having to pay for it. And the only way to do that was like build a frat and tell people, oh, like pay these dues, so on and so forth. It was low-key a little pyramid scheme, right? But either way, that got lit. It got to the point where the parties that just got known on campus. Like I remember the biggest party we had like the entire starting football like roster there, and then like the whole cheerleaders there too. And it was like a Project X type of thing. I cannot make this up. Like people were like breaking into like dorms and all types of stuff. Not dorms, but like into like other houses. It was crazy. But long story short, we merged with another frat, and that frat was like had really good bar ties on campus. And I would just like go on, like I would just have the DJs at the bars like stream my music or play my music. And that was kind of just how I would get by. I didn't like actually like go up and perform anywhere though, but like people kind of start to recognize me as like, oh, he's that guy who raps and like is like involved with the party scene.
So let's talk about that. Okay, so starting your own frat. What comes up with that idea? Who comes up with, oh well,
Oh,
I
man.
could join this frat, I could join that frat, but I'm gonna make my own. Well, what made you think about that?
Thankfully it wasn't my idea. The friend group that I was involved with, they kind of just like they just knew the roots. I guess their parents like they had like history on campus or so on and so forth. But anyway, they reached out to I think it was like called Theta Chi or something like that. Was they reached out to like their headquarters and said, oh, we want to start a frat. And it's not like it was like an actual like scam or anything like that. It's just the way the start a frat is like the people who bring a frat to a college campus, they're by the time like they graduate, that frat's not even like verified on the campus. Like there's so many hoops and stuff you have to jump through. But we knew during that time is like when like you could have the most fun because you were a frat, but you weren't regulated as a frat, you know, so you could really get by on anything. And that was our bread and butter. So we were just like trying to build like I guess like it was kind of like just building a small business. You had to build like a audience of people, you know, like come to join a frat, have parties, so on and so forth. And in the midst of that, like I said, yeah, it just got a little bit bigger than what it was, and we just merged with a frat. I don't know.
How big did it get?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly how they like started off reaching out with like to like the actual nationals or anything. But my role on it was like I was kind of just like I think I was like the head of security or whatever. So, like at parties, what is it? I was just the guy who was kind of just like over all of that, like letting people in. Like I would just be known because I was always like walking through the party, just like, oh, like that's the guy you go to. Like he's kind of like over it. I was just like known to like kind of like hold shit down.
There we go.
Yeah, it was pretty fun though. I can't lie, I miss those days.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you have any stories on like some of the chaos that brewed from that?
Man, I have a couple stories. I remember one song I had said like you ever seen somebody see you're leaning off some fake drink? Like people are like you know the whole frat lifestyle, just like drugs, party, and all that stuff. I remember somebody like thought that they had lean, but it was like a bottle of Robitussin. And they poured up some Robitussin and started spazzing out. That was probably one of the scariest moments.
Oh my gosh.
But it was funny because like the guy was perfectly fine. Like, you know, we were all obviously like very concerned because he was on the ground, like kind of like twitching out or whatever. But as soon as we were like, okay, we gotta call the ambulance, and man, snapped up. Like it was like he's like,
no, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good, gang, I'm good. And then popped back up. And then that was kind of the end of it. But that guy ended up being like my big. And once we merged with another frat, that guy ended up being my big. So it was pretty funny. But I'll say that was probably the craziest one. Other than that, that whole party is just, oh, we had some people jump off a roof, like that classic, like little, yeah, we had people jumping off of roofs onto like tables and shit like that. It was pretty fun, man. It was definitely, I do miss my little college times just for the partying of it. But I was not a good student. I was on like academic probation and some more shit.
I was gonna ask on the student side, so what did you study?
I was majoring in enterprise leadership, which is basically how to build businesses with a minor in rhetoric, communications, and music. And ultimately, I like I said, I came to college knowing exactly what I wanted to do. Like after that conversation with my mom about like, oh, if you really want to be a rapper, that's like you would have started doing that. So really, like after that conversation, I started writing music, kind of like trying to figure out what type of artist I wanted to be. And I knew that like once I got to college, like my whole focus would just be like building up, like just like building, like finding confidence in myself, and then like trying to see if I could like draw people around me, you know. And after like that whole frat situation and seeing that gave me the confidence I needed to, okay, like anything I want to do, I just had like really just put my mind to it and I'll be able to do it.
Word. So what took you out of University of Iowa?
So the whole pandemic, like I came into college, pandemic wasn't a thing. Then my sophomore year, the pandemic hit, and like the whole college lifestyle kind of like it flipped on its head, you know, like everything was online. It was just really weird. And not only that, but at that point in time, I was like, I knew like music was 100% what I wanted to do. I started building like a clothing brand with it as well. And I just told my parents, I was like, okay, like with the way school is going, can I just like have a year off to like really just try this? And not only that, but with me being out of state, tuition was really high. So like the way I finessed it was like, hey, if I take a year off, I can like gain residency in Iowa, get a cut on tuition so I can get in-state tuition, saving less money. And then also, you know, have the time to build this business while, you know, like I'm not just like effing off time. And that was really their main concern. So once I took that year off, things just started to like build up. Like by the end of the year off, I ended up like signing a management deal. and I was just like doing shows and stuff like that, like not super big by any means, but it was just like they could see the progress in it. They saw how serious it was, and not only that, but with Elijah's growth in that year, just the way everything kind of like came about, it was like just really divine timing. And not only that, I was facing some legal trouble, so it was just a lot of things going on at the time. So it's just like I leaned into my family and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take the leap of just like, you guys see, like you see what I'm doing, you see like that it has potential. If I just come to Chicago where like my home base is and just like come back to everything, I know everything will go up, and through the grace of God, that's exactly how it went.
It's dope to hear. Let's talk about this management deal. How did this management deal get into play? How did this come into play?
So I had the first studio I had ever really recorded at. That's the who ended up I signed the management deal to. I'm no longer signed to them, but what is it? They just started rocking with me. We just built a nice relationship. I was just coming there consistently. They saw the talent, and then I think what ended up happening was they had grew to the point where they were just doing bigger and serious more shows. Like they started booking DCG and just having like a lot of bigger connections in the city. Like they're throwing shows at the Forge, and still the relationship's still love. There's never been any beef or anything like that. Like I'm very thankful for what they've done for me. But ultimately, yeah, like I just was showing them love, coming to their concert. They were recognizing like that their fan base was really drawn to me. Like everybody was liking my music, and I just ended up being one of like the underground artists that was like people were like looking for. And from there, that's how the relationship built.
And how'd you start seeing that you actually had like a little bit of a cult following through your underground rap?
It was because I was, like I said, I was just doing, like, they were the only people I was doing shows with. So essentially, like, they just ended up starting like rock with me more. So like I was just like, I would be on the cards more. So like ultimately like their fan base, I guess, essentially kind of just like gravitated towards me. And then not only that, but I was doing TikTok. I'm still doing very relevant on TikTok. So I was just like, just doing my best to promote it and like bringing my actual friends, whether it was from like the length of life, like just like long time, like sandbox friends, college friends, the people I met out there. I just had so many different friend groups and social networks to pull from, and ultimately that's how like the cult following kind of got built.
And that's kind of impressive because not only yourself having this cult following, your brother has been able to grow this cult following as well. Let's talk about like TikTok strategies. Your brother mentioned to us that he posted daily and didn't care how many views he was getting on it, and he just posted daily. What was your strategy?
So Elijah started off on TikTok first, thankfully. So I just got to look. I really got a lot of my motivation from him. So I did a little bit of research myself. I knew that like the best way to grow on TikTok was to try to like post 10 videos a day. So that's essentially what I was trying to do. Like every day I would try to post 10 videos, no matter, same thing, like no matter how many views they got, just consistently posting. Because at least of those 10 videos, at least 2 of them are going to get, when you're like at like 100 followers on TikTok, 2 of them are going to get 200, 300 followers, or not followers, but 300 views. And if you consistently keep posting like that, those same people are going to kind of, so that's like how you build the fan base. So essentially I was just working that, just really just a slow grind. And one day it just kind of took off. I woke up one day, a video had went viral, and next thing you know, I had a couple hundred followers from there. Then a few weeks after that, the same thing would just happen. Like TikTok really just follows a strong algorithm. No matter what, it pushes your content to 10% of your followers. So if you have that in mind and you just try to make content that's going to be relatable to just that 10% and have those 10%, everybody who sees it like it, then that's going to lead better chances for them, for it to blow up. Because let's say you have 1,000 followers, 100 people like this photo, well, then most likely, it's going to start messing with that, instead of like that 10, those 100 people seeing it, only 20 people liking it,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely see a similarity between how you and Elijah run your TikTok. It's a little different, but I do see there's a lot of similarities to that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Like I say, yeah, I definitely learned from him. I'm very thankful to have him on the big brother side of things. Definitely his game helps a lot.
So Elijah being a big brother, do you often see yourself kind of looking at his challenges, and then you are now prepared for those same challenges when they come towards you?
Yeah, 100%. Especially now that he surpassed me, because I've been doing music, like I said, for like the longest time. Like I've been making, when I first released that EP that I was talking about, I don't think Elijah had a song out by then. So essentially, like I got to watch him, like he took over the content realm, and I was just like really just focused on music because like I said, I didn't really know the business end of it. Like he had a better business mindset already going into it. And once I like start to recognize like that business is very just as important as the music, that's when it really just started to okay, like all like my eyes started to open. I started to come to him for advice and just like I don't know, like he's I really don't even know how to explain it. Ultimately, he's like a manager role at this point.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. So we talked about the 2016 XXL, freestyle. Um, what other inspirations do you have in music?
Well, my top three favorite artists all time, no order: Young Thug, J. Cole, and Special Ed. I love Young Thug for like just this like indi- uh, individuality and just unapologeticness. Like he's always been himself. He's never cared to like follow the status quo or to fit into a box. And he just constantly expands the hip hop industry. So I respect that. J. Cole is a great lyricist and just like his overall message. I love. And then Special Ed, he's just an older rapper. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but his flow is crazy. So like I just pulled. I would say I built my artistry from those three things that I just mentioned.
Dope. And do you have any other inspirations, maybe that doesn't have to deal with rap?
My father is a big inspiration, just like with his business mindset. Besides that, man, that's a good question. I don't really know. God, his family, just really just like the world where it's at. Like I don't know. Like my main thing, like the whole reason I love music so much is I wanted to be what music was for me in my darkest times. So I would say like that's the inspiration I pull from. Like I try to like relate to people and just like talk about things that not everybody can talk about. I want my music to like be more substance based, but essentially I gotta like cater to the crowd while I'm in like the build up, you know.
Mhm.
So let's talk about some more music. When you're thinking about dropping an EP, am I right?
Yes, sir. On my birthday, November 7th, I'll go ahead and get the date. Why not? Yeah, I want to drop a 7-song EP on my birthday. I feel like that's only right. I'm involved with a brand called 777 Crazy. Like November 7th, I'm big on numbers and like spiritual numbers. God made the earth in 7 days. The reason my name's Tre Ro, it used to be the number 3 because of the Holy Trinity. But yeah, I just love the whole holiness, holy divinity. But yeah, I want to drop a 7-song EP on my birthday. I'm not sure what I'm gonna call it yet. I don't think I'll release the title yet, but yeah.
Great to hear. So let's talk about like your progression. So you mentioned you dropped you dropped an EP way back in the day. So when you're working on this new one, what are some new insights that you have?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would say like the first EP I dropped, I kind of just wanted to. I was just trying to like find my sound, and I feel like that's a big thing. That's an insight I would give. If you're gonna drop an EP, know like your sound already, because essentially like that's putting together a body of work. And I didn't really like look at it like that. You know, you want your EP to read like a book. You want all the songs kind of, at least for me, like that's that type of artist I want to be. So I've just put more thought into it, and just like basing it around like a certain moment of my life instead of just like ultimate like who I am or like what I like to talk about. You know, it's just more substance built.
Phil?
And what's your I guess your creative process? You said that you look at it like a certain moment in your life. Is it like you look at like certain times where things were really rough or things were going really well?
Um,
And
for this EP, I'm looking more into like the rough like heartbreak type of era.
Mhm.
I just feel like that kind of just like makes more sense. I feel like 2016 that kind of that sound is kind of what I'm going for. My like creative process is really I like to like create alone. Like I have a great producer. Um, he'll send me beats and we'll just really like cultivate them. Like whether it's like we're working on a sample, I'll give a little insight. Like I'm working on a Elijah Wallace sample. Like I'm gonna sample one of his popular songs. But really just like finding a beat, taking my time on it, and like like not everybody's choose for it, you know. I'm not gonna go into the studio and freestyle, and I feel like that's like the normal thing to do nowadays. Like a lot of people aren't like sharpening their pencil, and like I want every bar to hit. Like I just want everything to like make sense. I put a lot of thought into my music, so yeah, really just sitting down, being alone. Like, I'll be in most of the time a dark room, just writing, listening to the beat. If not that, if I am just having fun, like there are some fun songs that I hope just go into the studio, probably get a little tipsy, smoke a little weed, and just go in there, vibe with some friends. But besides that, I really just like to create alone, just me, the engineer, and me and the producer.
Feel that. I feel that. So your brother come in late into the game when it comes into music creation. Did he come to you at all and ask you for any advice?
Oh yeah, for sure. He definitely did. I can't take credit for any of his work. Elijah's his own artist.
Yeah.
But yeah, nah, that's definitely it's very I think that like how I was saying, like it's very helpful to have him on the content creation side. I'm sure it's the same way on the music side. I know like one of his big things that he stressed to me when he was coming to me for advice was that I'm the target market. Like I'm the demographic that you're trying to sell music to no matter what. And I feel like that's very helpful in me creating music, and also like how he's needs somebody like he has a group of examples, because all my friends, like we can listen to his music and give him feedback and let him know like, oh okay, like maybe we don't say this no more, or like something like that. Like not to say bro he's getting older or anything like that, but there might be a little bit it helps with a little bit of the disconnect.
Feel
Sure.
that. I feel that. So a consultant in a way. You guys both consult each other in different ways.
Exactly.
There's there's the Paul brothers, there's the Tate brothers, there's the Wallace brothers, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Y'all gonna be the next internet duo, you know what I'm saying?
That'd be pretty dope. I don't think I know any like rapper brothers like that are like legit giving you insights into their lives, or that are like all over the content space, and I love that about us. I think that's something that we give that's different.
So you visited him in New York, right? I think it was his birthday weekend or so, and you guys made a dope song with a dope video. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that was dope. So the way that all came about is funny. I was trying to figure out like I like to plan out my drops. So I knew I wanted to work with him. I wanted to drop a song on his birthday. So I hit him up and I was like, hey bro, like what do you think about like collabing on a song for your birthday type ish? And he was really rocking with it. So I hit up my boy Michael. I asked him, I wanted him to have full creative direction with the song. Um, and I wanted it to be his song, you know. That was like the whole thing. I wanted to gift him a song, you know. On top of like the little shopping spree that I gave him, shameless plug, go watch that YouTube vlog. But what is it? So yeah, I hit up my boy Michael. I told him that I asked Elijah like what like sound he wanted to go for, and the inspiration was Future and Drake like championship vibes. I'm pretty sure that was what it was. And my boy Michael stumbled upon this beat pack that had like that had a sample that was similar to Family First. He like recognized like the whole family, you know, like the whatever you get what I'm trying to say. And ultimately, like he cooked it up, and it was hard. I sent it to Elijah, and we both like the beat was something that's completely different to both of us. Like I feel like that's something that a lot of the supporters will recognize immediately, that it doesn't sound like either of our traditional music. And that was something that I really like liked about the song, because it challenged us. Like I remember when we got the beat back, we're like, oh crap, this beat's hard as fuck. But like, how the fuck do we hop on this? Like we don't know where to go. So thankfully he went first. He kind of gave the direction of it, and then from there it was just really easy. He sent me back the song probably about like a couple days later, and I was so excited I sent it back to him in like a few hours. And then he was like, damn, you got on that quick, do you want to add a second verse? Like we were going back and forth. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And by that time, like it was a little late on the timing of the song, because we wanted it to come out exactly on his birthday that week, but the song didn't end up coming out till September 30th. But that's because like we're both perfectionists, and we wanted to like make sure it was a good product, you know. So yeah, I flew out to New York. He flew me out. That was pretty dope. Spent the weekend with them, turned up in New York City, recorded the video, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So when you guys collab, being brothers, is it easier because you guys, know each other so well, or is it harder because like the pressure's tight? Like, what is your experience between like working with your brother?
Um, I've only done it. Well, I've done it twice. There's an unreleased song called Obi-Wan Kenobi. Bang down Elijah's door for it. But I only did the ad-libs on that song. That song was pretty fun. He just came to Chicago, and we went to the studio together, and he just made the song. And at first he wasn't going to do ad-libs, but I suggested that he should. And he didn't know, like, he didn't have like any idea of where to go with it creatively. So I was like, oh, well, maybe you should try this. And I walked in and just did it. He was like, fuck it, we'll just keep those ones. But the song never ended up coming out. But this song, it was a little bit different, and it's the same thing. Like it was never really hard. It was just okay. We didn't even like talk about what we wanted to talk about. It was just like, okay, here's the beat. Whatever you hop on it, whatever you feel like speaking about, whatever you want to do, go ahead and do it. Like I said, I gave him full creative direction, and then after that, I just wanted to make sure that like my bars were making like I wanted to make sure like we were on the same topic. You know, like we were talking about the same shit. Like he couldn't have been talking about like dancing and I'm over here on some street stuff. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So essentially I just want to make sure everything like flowed and read like a book. Yeah. It wasn't hard by any means. Though.
Word. Let's talk a little bit about clothing. So
Hmm.
you talk about some of your, you got a clothing brand. Let's talk a little bit about it.
So Rose Garden, that's my merch. You can see it in my Instagram bio. Actually, I think I have a hoodie. Yeah, it's my first drop. We've only done one drop so far. So little simple R to represent the Roshan, whatever, and then the big graphic on the back.
Dope.
I don't know if you can see it because the green screen.
Yeah,
But
I can
anyway,
see it.
yeah. And then we have another brand I'm involved with, 777 Crazy. That's another merch around here. Couple hats, couple shirts, couple hoodies. Yeah, that was just like I just love fashion. I just always I like everything like where you can express yourself. So music, fashion, movies. I want to down the line like create my own anime. There's just a bunch of stuff creatively I want to do.
Let's talk about, so we already talked about it on the music side. What are some movies? What are some animes? What are things that you like? Let's talk about that.
All right, bet. I'm kind of a nerd. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I love all things anime. Movies wise, I like action movies, comedy movies, rom coms. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna cap. I love a good rom com. But what is it? Yeah, no, Naruto, Black Clover, Seven Deadly Sins. I love a lot of like all things like that. And then even music wise, like I always like all styles of music. Like I listen to country, I like rap, I like alternative music. Yeah. I don't know. I'm all over the place. I think it was like because I grew up in between Chicago and Plano. So it was just like so much culture on both sides to get. Like that's like the small town that I grew up, obviously, is where the country comes from. Like every football game, that's what's playing. I just grew up hearing that. But then also living with grandma for a certain bit of time, or like staying over there for weeks on end. Like you just get the Chicago elements. Like I remember when Chief Keef was first blowing up, we were hip to that, and like I essentially I remember us putting on a lot of Plano people to Chief Keef and like watching it just go like wildfire. So it was pretty dope. I just like grew up having a bunch of culture, a bunch of the different things to pull from, and yeah.
So being around all that different culture, how do you think that like translates to your music and your content?
I think that's what helps me be so relatable, and like that's what I mean when I say like I think about what I want to talk about like so much, because there's so many things I can talk about. I can talk about like Chicago and what it's like growing up there, just off like telling my cousin's story or like a relative story, or my father, my mother, something like that. But then I can also tell you what it's like being like a kid in the small town where you feel like you're unheard, or like you're like the outcast. I can reach both sides of the market. I can talk to all of the spectrums. And not only that, but because I grew up in between both places, I know how to talk to all those people. You know what I'm saying? I can deliver it in a way where everybody can understand it. And yeah, I think that's kind of like something I just like really like try to like bring into my music within every like lyric or something like that. Like I try to say it to where everybody understands it, whether you're from Chicago, whether you're from Iowa, whether you're from Wyoming, LA, however you want to do it, I can like communicate and express myself in a pretty positive way. And not only that, but I try to stay positive, even though like I'm talking about sad things. I'm talking about how you get through them, or like how to have the right mindset. And yeah, just kind of just want to spread positivity. So
I think that's just a great thing about, growing up in the Midwest, in the Chicago area and in our area that we grow up in Ohio, is like you get that the best of both worlds. You get to understand both worlds and have a better, comprehension. And you can just communicate with certain people and be like, okay, yeah, I know what archetype you are. I can
exactly.
communicate with you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
you
pretty
start to
dope.
you start to be able to read people in a certain way, or like you can like how you said, like a different archetype. You can like ultimately, like, not to like say like you can judge a book by its cover, but like you just like know how to like break through that like guard that they may have up, because you've seen so many same people, or so many people like from the same background. And it's a beautiful thing, honestly.
Dope. So look, I'm gonna ask you a tough question, not a tough question, but a deep question. Okay. I'm using context clues from this interview. I'm gonna ask you, what has God done in your life?
um God's played a very strong role in my life. I give everything up to God. I see myself as a very spiritual person. I've been at the lowest of lows. I've kind of like a part of being able to speak to a part of the reason why I can speak to everybody is because I can relate to everybody. I've lived times in my life where we've struggled out seeing the higher sides of times. Like I don't know. I've been depressed like at one point clinically, and I've just been through a lot in my life for me to be so young. Like my parents have been telling me for the longest. Like I'm 21 going on 34, something like that. I just have an old soul, and going through those hard times, you have to find some reason to keep going. You have to have that like light at the end of the tunnel. And the best advice I was ever given was, if you don't believe in God, or my father told me this when I was really young, going through a hard time. He said, if you having struggles believing in God, like wondering, like find yourself asking like, oh, why is this happening to me, or so on and so forth. Have faith in my God, because in my hardest times, I look to Him and He's pulled me through it, and I've gotten this far. You see me, you see what I've become, you see how I have you. I'm taking care of everything. Like you've seen me in my struggles, and I look at this God, and this is the God who pulls me through it. And like I just saw that being like that was like so powerful to me, because like you never really like look at it like that. Like there's only one God, but like everybody has their one relationship with that said God. So essentially, you have your own God. So like I don't know, like I don't know how you relate to that, how you digest that, but ultimately, I digested it as like, okay, well, essentially like there's a powerful force out there. I always believed that, and having somebody who was so faithful and had like showing and expressing that belief and like seeing the great things that they did, it's really hard to like look in those hard times and like think negatively, because you just know like, okay, like it's just a moment, I just have to get through it. It's possible, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
So what
Yeah.
will be your advice to someone who's like, yo, I'm in it. I'm down bad. What will be your advice to them?
um I would say feel it. Like, okay, you're down bad, you're in that, okay, really recognize like that you're in that moment, and like really digest it, and like try to break down why you're in there. I feel like a lot of people like look so quickly to cope, or like blame things, or like victim blame, or just like shift the problem outside of themselves. And ultimately, like, not saying that you're always the problem, but like ultimately, like, you always play a part into your situation, and how you're choosing to look at something, and that's what I mean by that. Like, yeah, you might be going through the thick of it, but like if you're waking up every day telling yourself like, oh man, this sucks, my life sucks, like yada yada yada, how the hell are you gonna think of a way to get out of it if you're in that mindset?
Hmm.
You have to find something to live for, like look towards the future. And yeah, that would be like my best advice to you. Just, you
That's
gotta,
great advice. That's great advice. You gotta always remember that, like, it is your life. You have a lot of control in your life. Obviously there's going to be things that are going to happen that you don't have a lot of control in, but you got to recognize that this is your life, and you got to take responsibility for it.
exactly, for sure. And I'm also like a big believer in like old sayings, because I feel like in time is the only thing that we have to look for, and they say history repeats itself. And I feel like the like people like miss the meaning in that. Like essentially what they're saying is like all these old sayings that are getting passed down, they're getting passed down because they stuck for a reason. Like there's a lesson to learn in it. And I feel like people just like take it for face value and like don't really recognize things like that. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I also agree with that, because like recently I've like noticed, like, uh I used to call these sayings like cheesy and everything because it's repeated over and over again. But then you got to think, why is it repeated over and over again?
Exactly, man.
It's
There's a
because it's right.
there's a reason for that, man. There's not, that's like in all of history, like these no matter like how time progressed, like how the world changes, these same old sayings stick around. It doesn't,
Right.
it's almost scary. Like when you really like break down like what an old saying means, and like you finally have that epiphany, you're like, damn, I fucked up
Mhm.
really so. Telling me this my whole life. But yeah.
And it's like that simple too. It's like, damn, you know what I'm saying?
Like, it's like shit like be yourself, like, oh, this piece is out, man. Like,
What does that even mean? Like, I'm only
we're like,
myself,
damn.
right? But reality, like you don't recognize that you're not being yourself. You are like you. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. Like one old saying that I love is show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I feel like a lot of people don't really catch on to that. They're like, what the fuck does that mean? How does that make sense? I remember somebody told me that when I was really young, and I literally like laughed in their face. Like, You're like, you're the dumbest person I could possibly meet in this moment. But in reality, like essentially, like if you surround yourself with 5 people who are better than you have no choice but to be better. Iron sharpens iron. That's another one, like
Mhm.
it's these same sayings. They're all saying the same things. And I feel like it's like there's just somebody with an old file cabinet of like, okay, like what's this lesson you need to learn? Okay, let me show that saying at them. And then like it's whether how you take it, like iron sharpen iron. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Like they mean the same thing, but like they're old sayings that keep getting passed around and people just not getting it, man. It's kind of sad. I pray for the world a lot.
What are your goals? What are your professional goals? As being a rapper, being, in fashion, you want to do animation. What is an overall like scope? What are you looking for?
Well, first and foremost, happiness, a great relationship with God, and to put like my loved ones in position. But ultimately, like my biggest thing is like I like every day, like when I pray at night, like I pray for God to use my pockets to bless others. And that's just like, 'cause I remember like there's been so many times in my life where I've like wished I found like X amount of money on the floor, or just like, like just had certain like resources that I didn't, or like just an outlook or somebody to go to. So ultimately, like I just wanna like like gain as much as I can so I can give as much as I can at the same time. Like that's always been my thing. Like ultimately, like I just want to make people happy, everybody happy. Like I said, like I want people to find my music and like be what music was for me in the dark place. And that's like exactly what I mean. I just want to give everything back. Like you reap what you sow, you get what you put out, old sayings. So like essentially, like the more I want to bless others, the more people will bless me. And like essentially I hope that mind, like the more I share my mindset with other people, the more that mindset will like pass on to them and they'll share it to others and so on and so forth, and essentially change the world. Like, I'm not trying to look at myself as like some higher figure, but ultimately I just want to be the good to the world. But like we live in a very terrible time. Like honestly, like it's probably one of the worst times in all history, like with everything that's going on. Like there's a lot of wars that aren't even being spoken about. There's just a lot of shit in the world that's going on, and we need light. Like you need to have some positivity in it. Like it's the same thing with it kind of goes along with the advice that I would give people. Like if you're going through a dark time, you got to look at what you're doing in that moment. So like if we're living in a dark world, look at what you're doing to play a part to. Are you just like are you like not confiding, but like are you being oblivious to it? Are you just like living blindly and acting like it doesn't exist, hoping that one day it'll change itself? Or are you doing something to actively try to change the world, make the world a better place? And yeah, that's essentially my whole goal. Just do whatever I can to make God's world better.
Bless. That's great to hear. Any last things? Any shout outs? Anything? You got anything? Cory, you got any last questions? I'll give you the floor a little bit if you got anything.
Well, yeah, I am curious because I love to hear that you have all these things planned out with like your anime that you want to make,
Yeah.
and obviously your music. So is there anything else that we missed that you got like that you want to share to the world? Because at the end of the day, like I mean, as all artists want to do, they just want express themselves and show the world like the highs and lows of life. So, well, anything else?
Stay. I would tell people just stay tuned, tap in, like whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Like ultimately, like I want to be like the first person who gives you like a real deal like look into their life. Like I have all things open windows. Like ultimately I feel like I don't have anything like to hide. So like ultimately like I just want to like just share everything. I want to give everybody like I want to be like not only a great rapper and like to just be successful, be like a Jay-Z, Ye type of person, but also like to show people like the inside of it, like every step of the way in real time, like whether it's through vlogs, whether it's through the music. Like I want somebody to like I want my whole life to be on display so that if they're going through a hard time in life, they can find something like that part of my life and like go directly into like
and relate to it.
That whole little like part of my life, whether it's like the vlogs, the music, the tweet, like everything, just like you just see all of it, so then you can really understand like, okay, like, well, this, like not only that, but if you're watching that moment, you can watch the progression of it on, so you can like watch how I actively made changes and like see the people who are no longer in those vlogs and recognize like, oh, maybe he was a part of it and I might even express it or something like that. But and like even like in everything I do, I want like the whole overall message to be like those old sayings. Like when I make my anime, I can't give out too much. So I want to
Yeah,
like,
you don't have to do that.
you
You
know what I
don't do
mean?
all
But like
that.
essentially, I just want to be like an open book, just a big open book.
Yeah, I love that, man.
Thank you. And any shout out? Shout out my boy Joseph's gone. Shout out Michael. Shout out Crazy. Shout out Honcho. Shout out Elijah. Anybody else? I can't miss nobody. They're gonna be my ass. I think that's pretty much it. I ain't gonna lie. If I ain't shout you out, it's probably because y'all ain't rocking with me. So go tap in. Yeah.
Tap in indeed. Yo, it's been What's Out. Peace out.